Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to the JC2K video, and today I'm going to be doing episode 14 of I Build Your Teams, the series where I build teams submitted to me on Twitter by my followers into the best teams possible based on the amount of MT that they have and what version of the game they play on for either competitive play or MyTeam Unlimited or both. That being said, if you want to be involved in a future episode of this video, make sure you follow me on Twitter. My Twitter link is always down in the description below, so make sure you go drop a follow on Twitter and be on the lookout for a tweet about this series most of the time on Friday night. Because of other circumstances this weekend, I did wind up putting out this tweet this weekend on Saturday night, and I'm releasing this video obviously on Sunday. So that does happen occasionally, but typically this video will be out on Saturdays and the tweet about this video will be out on Friday night. So be on the lookout for that on my Twitter page. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It's pushing towards the 2,000 subscriber mark slowly but surely, and I'd really appreciate any and all support on the video. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. Take a look at some teams. So first team today comes in from my guy Aiden. He has on current gen 30k MT. He's going to get Petrovic soon. He loves the content. I appreciate that. And looking at this team immediately with 30k, I like your 1 through honestly, I like your starting 5 a lot. I don't really think there's anything that needs to change in there. Off the bench, I do see a couple of weak spots. I think Eddie Curry, as good as he is kind of a weak spot at this point in the game. Bam Adebayo is solid. I don't mind him at the backup for the team that you have. Same thing with Bailey Howell and Manu Ginobili. Gerald Wilkins, I don't like a lot either. Him and Eddie Curry, I think, are probably the two positions that I would be looking to upgrade the most. I will also recommend that at some point you go for Luka Doncic this season. I 100% think he's a huge upgrade. He's not going to be too hard to get. They're making him pretty easy to get this season. And I'd definitely just be looking to try to upgrade to Luka over Manu and start Luka at the point guard, Josh Smith off the bench at some point unless we get another point guard, but definitely get Luka for your team. Also, with about 30k MT, you said you're going to get Petrovic soon. Petrovic is okay, but you grinded for James Worthy. I would also recommend grinding for Jimmy Butler. I think Jimmy Butler would be the best shooting guard that you have, including Warren, Petrovic, and Wilkins. You could put Jimmy here at the starting 2 and Warren off the bench. I think that would be a very, very nice upgrade. I don't honestly think Petrovic needs to play in your lineup whether you get him or not, but I would get the pink diamond box still for sure to get those rewards. And then after doing that, you still have, honestly, you probably have made MT by that point. If you get Jimmy Butler, you get those pink diamond rewards, the pink diamond rewards. But at the backup center position, with 30k MT, there's just not a center I feel like who jumps off the page currently to me for that MT amount. At some point, I'd be looking to look for a guy like, I don't know, Bull. I think he'd be a very good upgrade for you to look to make at some point in your squad. I think Bull is one of the best centers in the game. I think he's not super expensive, and you could probably get one that's relatively juiced. Save your MT a little bit, look to potentially pick him up, or maybe we'll get another budget beast like Anthony Davis to play that center position soon. But just for the time being, I'd probably hold on to that MT that you have, and then focus on grinding towards Luka and picking up Jimmy Butler as well. Next team today comes in from Danny. He's got 2 millions open to any suggestions. We got a really good team here. Great starting 5, really nice bench. The weakest player on your team, I think, by a significant margin, honestly, is George Mikan. And with 2 million MT, you might as well go out and get the best center in the game. In my opinion, who's Dikembe Mutombo. I would definitely go out and pick up a Dikembe. I don't even think you need to look for a juiced one. Just pick up a Dikembe in general to replace Mikan. You can start him with Bill or play him off the bench with Christian Wood. Either way, I definitely think Dikembe would be a huge upgrade for this team. Besides that, just focus on grinding for Luka to pick up Josh Smith. I wouldn't pick up any new point guards. Maybe potentially pick up KD or Tracy McGrady for the 2 instead of Jimmy Butler, but I don't think you need to make any other upgrades. Also, the other thing that I would actually probably do, I'd pick up Dikembe, and then I don't dislike James Worthy, but I think Pascal Siakam is a huge upgrade over him. I would pick him up over Worthy, maybe start him at the 3, even over Ferry. Not sure how juiced your Ferry is. My Danny Ferry is like 10 extra Hall of Fame badges, so I still start Ferry. But I would probably look to pick up Siakam as well as Dikembe Mutombo, and then potentially one of those invincible shooting guards as well for this squad. Our next team today comes in from Marcus. He's on current gen, has 400k, and Bill, Russell, and Luke are on the way. So with that being the case, I'm going to plug in Bill here for Drew Eubanks, just in my mind, assuming you're going to get him in the near future. And also put us up. The spot that I would put Luka is at the starting point guard position. I would take Giannis out and sell him. I just can't green with Giannis, and really, I'm not the only one. Nobody can green with Giannis, despite what some people may say. He just doesn't have a good green window at all with his release on very quick for whatever reason. So I would sell Giannis, plug Luka in there, and Bill Russell in there. And then looking at this team with 400k, after selling Giannis, you're looking at a million MT plus. So with a million MT, and the team that you will have at that point, you got a couple options. You could hold on to your MT and kind of just bide your time. You could look to sell Anthony Davis and pick up a Dikembe Mutombo to boost that backup center position. You could pick up a Pascal Siakam instead of James Worthy, but I think your shooting guards are fine, and I think that those are the two upgrades that I'd probably look to make after selling Giannis, replacing him with Luka, putting Bill here, and then maybe Siakam and Dikembe Mutombo off the bench. Next team today comes in from Ozzy. He's got 193K on current gen, and looking at this team, there's definitely some things that I do want to change. I do not like Steve Nash or Luka Doncic at this point in this game. This Luka is just not good enough on defense, and Steve Nash is too small to play in a lineup, in my opinion. So what I would do immediately is I just take them out of the lineup, and I would go get yourself a Josh Smith and a Nicholas Batum. It'll cost you less than, probably about a total of 40,000 MT, maybe 50,000 MT, definitely less than 50,000 MT to pick up that duo at point guard to replace these two guys, and it'll be massive. You'll notice a massive upgrade in your team immediately just by picking up those two players. Next team, the next thing that I'd look to do is probably pick up I don't know, Larry Keenan and Keith Van Horn are fine. Manu Ginobili and Tyreke Evans, I don't love them at the shooting guard position. I would definitely look to potentially grind for at least one of the Van Arsdale brothers, whether it's Dick or Tom, from Triple Threat Online or Triple Threat Offline. If you can get one of those guys, and then also get a guy like TJ Warren potentially at that shooting guard position. If you can get, not TJ Warren, I'm sorry, he's not grindable anymore. Jimmy Butler. If you can get Jimmy Butler and one of the Van Arsdale brothers for your shooting guard position. Those are two free options that you'll notice massive upgrades for if you get those four players. If you get those two players, so those four players will just upgrade your backcourt massively. If, for example, you have Josh Smith, Jimmy Butler, Nick Batum, and Tom Van Arsdale as your four backcourt players. Then at the small forward position, I don't think that you really need to change much. I think Keenan and Van Horn can hold it down for now based on the amount of MT that you have. And then I would probably at some point, I'd probably start James Wiseman, put AD at your backup center, and then pick whoever you like more of Bam Adebayo and George Mikan and start them at the 4. Then as your backup 4, with the amount of MT that you have, I'd say go get yourself a juice Jonathan Isaac. A Jonathan Isaac with Hall of Fame Showtime and Hall of Fame Heart Crusher. He probably still is not that expensive at this point in the game, and you can plug him in at that backup power forward position, or even that starting power forward position. I think that would be a nice, easy upgrade that you could make. And then at that point, just save your MT. Try to get to where you can start making slightly bigger upgrades. Looking to pick up guys like potentially Pascal Siakam, Klay Thompson, just it's upgrades like that to make bigger upgrades on this team. But for now, I think it's just more about arranging your team to where it can compete based on size and defense and all those things in a better way. Next team today comes in from PistonsFan. He's got 330K. He plays on PlayStation 5 next gen. He loves the content. I appreciate that. And looking at this team, I like a lot of the pieces you got immediately. Like Bill it's definitely a huge W. I see that you have Jimmy Butler and you're not using him, so that's probably something that I would do immediately. Is I just sell Magic Johnson because I like Draymond a lot. I like Ben Simmons a lot. I think Ben Simmons is the best point guard in the game on next gen potentially. Well, besides Giannis, I think Giannis is probably the best point guard in the game on next gen specifically. But I would start Ben at point guard, Draymond off the bench at point guard, plug yourself a Jimmy Butler right in here for Magic Johnson, sell Magic. T-Mac is fine off the bench, but I could also definitely consider selling him and picking up Paul George or Ray Allen on next gen, one of those two guys to play your backup shooting guard, or even start a shooting guard with Jimmy as your backup shooting guard. So yeah, same point guards, Jimmy Butler and one of Paul George or Ray Allen at the shooting guards. Small forwards are fine, power forwards are fine, centers are fine with 330K. That's really all I would look to do probably. I think you would honestly profit MT by making those changes, just by sliding Jimmy in there and then selling Magic and T-Mac and picking up one of PG or Ray. And everything else I think for the time being is super, super solid. I don't think any other changes need to be made as of right now. Next team today comes in from Lagoat. Current gen, he's about 500K MT. He doesn't really like to spend a lot of MT on his bench, but he doesn't really like Tjayerrday to the point anymore, which I agree with. If there's any suggestion, I am open to it. Honestly, I have some pretty simple suggestions, I think, for this squad. I'd sell DeMarcus Cousins, pick up Paul George. Not Paul George, what I'm saying. Draymond Green. I don't know why I said Paul George. Sell DeMarcus Cousins, pick up Draymond Green. I can see you've grinded for level 40s in the past with Vince and Kawhi, so I'd grind for Luka to play your backup point guard position. Actually start at point guard position at some point. But for the time being, I would get Josh Smith. So if you get Draymond Green, Josh Smith at the point guard positions, I think you're gonna notice a lot of upgrades. You can sell DeMarcus. Vince is fine at the 2. Kawhi is still fine at the 2 as well. As much as people don't love him, I would say Kawhi's pretty good at the 2 as well. Even with his low amount of Hall of Fame badges, James Worthy's still good. Paul Millsap he's usable. With this this much MT, I might potentially look to get a guy like Pascal Siakam as well to play that 3, and then Tjayerrday off the bench. Also, I would grind for Jimmy Butler at some point to replace one of Vincent Kawhi. Whoever you like less of Vincent Kawhi, I would take out of the lineup for Jimmy Butler, and then you could also get Bill Russell. I would definitely consider doing that because I think that would give you more flexibility. You could sell Giannis, plug Bill Russell in here. And then the final upgrade of the day, I think honestly, because you don't like to spend a lot of MT on your bench, I think Mikan and Christian Wood can hold it down in your defensive backcourt. You could also pick up Anthony Davis instead of George Mikan. I do like the pink diamond AD more than Mikan, but I think either way, you're probably looking at a pretty good team. I know that's a lot of changes, but to recap, I would say Draymond Green, Josh Smith, Jimmy Butler to replace one of your shooting guards, Pascal Siakam at the 3, and then Tjayerrday off the bench. Grind for Bill Russell as well and sell Giannis, and then everything else probably left the same for the time being, unless you want to pick up PDAD, who's also cheap, to replace Mikan. Third to last team of the day comes in from Regov. I hope I pronounced that right. If I didn't, I apologize. He's got 100K on current gen on Xbox, and I'm guessing he's going to either, if you already have Luka, I'm impressed. Credit to you. That's definitely a heck of a grind, but I assume you mean you'll probably get him soon if you don't already, which I agree with. Shooting point guards are obviously exceptional. Shooting guards are exceptional. Small forwards are very solid. Power forwards are exceptional, and centers I think are basically exceptional as well. So the weakest link on this team specifically, I think, is the small forward position. And I think the weakest player at that position, because I really like Thon Maker. I know I don't talk about him a lot, but I really do like Thon Maker a lot. I think the weakest player in your team is Jonathan Isaac, and he's the guy I would definitely be looking to replace in this squad. The way that I would probably look to replace him is, honestly, there's a couple ways. I might just sell your Isaac and plug in James Worthy. I know you probably don't love James Worthy, as evidenced by the fact that you have Bill, so you definitely have Worthy, but you're not using him. But I do think he's better than Jonathan Isaac, and he's free. So I would probably plug him in there. That's probably one thing I would definitely just consider doing. And then with 100 KMT plus actually more than 100 KMT after you do that, you could sell James Wiseman as well and pick yourself up a Kristaps Porzingis. You sell Isaac, you sell Wiseman, you plug Worthy in here, and you pick up Kristaps Porzingis. I think you've made a pretty significant upgrade to your team, because I do like Kristaps a lot more than Wiseman, and I do like Worthy over Isaac as well. Second to last team today comes in from my boy Nardog. He's on current gen, nobody spent. Bull has Hoff Clamps, while Isaac has Hoff Show. Luka's going to be home on Friday to replace Batum. So not going to worry about your point guard position, because we're going to have Luka and Simmons, who I think are the two best point guards on current gen. Paul George and TJ, again, really solid. Siakam and Isaac, that's fine. Russell and Bull, and then Kristaps and Wiseman. With 1.3 mil, sell yourself a Wiseman, go get Dikembe Mutombo. I know people don't talk about Mutombo enough, but he is so good. Him and Kristaps is the best center in the duo in the game by far, in my opinion. I think you'll definitely notice a difference whether you're playing Mutombo off the bench or starting him and playing Kristaps off the bench. Next thing I would do is, honestly, you know how I said I don't really talk about Thon Maker? Get yourself a Thon Maker. Plug him in there over Jonathan Isaac. I think that's you'll notice a difference there. You could even, again, plug James Worthy in over Jonathan Isaac. You probably don't love James Worthy. That's okay. He's better than Isaac, I think, and he's free, and Isaac is not. So one of those two things. Maker, if you want to spend some MT. Worthy, if you want to actually save some MT. I still think he's better than Isaac, though, in my opinion. And then Jimmy Butler or TJ Warren, I think that's really your choice. If you prefer Warren at the 2, I'm not going to tell you not to. I don't think that needs to be upgraded either. But the one thing that I would definitely do is pick up a Dikembe Mutombo at that center position. And also, if your Bol doesn't have Hoff Showtime in addition to Hoff Clamps, sell your Bol and go get yourself a Bol with Hoff Showtime and Hoff Clamps. You'll notice a difference. Hoff Showtime is a huge badge. But I really do like this team. I think you got a lot of MT and a very good team to work with already. And then the final team of the day comes in from Yuri. He's got 100K MT on current gen. He's looking for a new small forward. And when I look at this team, I don't really feel like the small forward position jumps out at me as a position of need. I think it's a position that you could upgrade, but I really honestly think your center position could use some work. I love Bill Russell and I love Christian Wood, but I'd much rather play Christian Wood at that backup 4. So I'd probably leave Bill Russell there and move Christian Wood to that backup 4. And then at the point guard position, I like Draymond, but with only 125K, I probably would sell Draymond and pick up Josh Smith and Batum, because you're going to make a lot of MT from selling Draymond and picking up those two guys to play your point guard position. And then I would probably, could you have Kareem and Mikan? I'd leave Mikan as your backup 5. Probably just leave your wings as is for now. I don't adore Elgin, but I don't think he's bad, and I think he has XM base, which makes him super good. Butler is fine at the 3, and Clay and Worthy are really good. And so if you make those upgrades at point guard with Josh and Batum selling Draymond, you'll probably have 220 some odd K, maybe. We'll say 200K, and then you sell Kareem, we're looking at close to 300K. At which point I think you could pick up Kristaps Porzingis and James Wiseman. I think if you pick those two guys up at center, and then you have Bill, Kristaps, Wood, and Wiseman, for example, off your bench, or even Anthony Davis instead of Wiseman, the pink diamond AD, I think that you're looking at really nice upgrades there. Without spending too much MT, you'll probably still have something close to 50 to 75,000 MT left. And then at that point, you could potentially look to move Jimmy Butler to the shooting guard position, or take him out of your lineup at some point. Maybe even put Jimmy at the starting two, sell Klay Thompson, and pick up Pascal Siakam for the three. Like, there are a couple of ways that you can go. I know there's definitely a lot of different ways that you could go with this squad, but I would definitely probably sell Draymond and pick up Josh Smith and Batum for sure, and then look to upgrade your center position with guys like Kristaps Porzingis, James Wiseman, and or Anthony Davis. So I like this team a lot. I like all these teams, honestly. I think there's a lot of flexibility in these teams in general, not just this one, but there are a lot of cards who are very usable at this point in the game. You don't have to use the top tier guys at every position, but I just like to get players who can shoot and defend at every single position on the court, and try to get size as well at this point in the year to counter the giant lineups that you're going to see with guys like Ben Simmons, Kevin Durant, Danny Ferry, Bill Russell, Kristaps Porzingis, for example. A lineup with everybody being 6'10" or taller. I definitely think that size is going to be huge. But yeah, that is going to do it for this video. If you did enjoy, please make sure you hit that like button. Leave a comment as well and let me know what you think of this video. If you didn't have your team built in this video as well, feel free to leave a comment down below with your team, and I'll try to get to it and tell you in short what I would do to upgrade that team, and also be on the lookout for another tweet about this video next Friday night on my Twitter page. And also, finally, if you haven't, hit that subscribe button as well to help us push towards that 2,000 subscriber mark. Really appreciate all the recent support on the videos, and I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon. I appreciate y'all. Peace.